KGVO Missoula, KGVO FM Frenchtown, AM 1290 and 1015 FM. Sports Talk Tonight and streaming online at Newstalk, KGVO.com.
It is Wednesday evening in the snowy white Garden City of Missoula, Montana. That must mean that it is Sports Talk Tonight with Gurnz and Bedard.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes, Denny. It's another Wednesday. We are live from the KGVO studios. We are streaming worldwide on Newstalk.KGVO.com. Sports Talk Tonight can be heard on the AM side, 1290, and FM 98.3.
Very good.
Follow us on Twitter at Sports Talk Back. Podcasts online at Newstalk.KGVO.com. And our phone number, as always, is 721-1290. We've got some stuff to talk about today. We've got the Super Bowl. Great. One of the best games. They're ranking it of all time.
One of the most bizarre games of all time.
Yep, crazy. What a great game. We had Cat Grizz. Excuse me. Wow, did I just say Cat Grizz?
Who are you?
Wow. Well, Bill Schwanke is in studio, and he's making me nervous.
That's not an excuse.
You know, he's the original voice of the Grizz. We have Grizzly Bill Schwanke in the studio.
Yes, he's not quite original, and we'll learn more in trivia tonight.
Well, you know what? They didn't have radios back then, did they?
He was. Well, then what was I running for you on Saturday nights on the board? It must have been running something there.
I don't know, but we've got special guest Grizzly Bill Schwanke in studio with us, and lots of good stuff to talk about. But Bill, hey, we got you here. Welcome.
I'm glad to be here. Now, is it still against the rules for me to say hello to my wife at home and my daughter in Flagstaff?
Well, I would think you would. You need to.
Okay, I did.
There are no rules. They're more like guidelines.
And how is Lynn?
Lynn is great.
Yeah.
Cool. Lynn is great. Just celebrated her birthday. I'm not gonna
59th?
Yeah, exactly. I told her she didn't look a day over 45, but she just caught up with me. We're the same age for about 7 months a year. So.
Well, we'll talk about the early days of being the voice of the Grizz, but what a kick it must have been to be the voice of the Grizz on a basketball tournament this winter.
Oh,
you got to go to the Virgin Islands because Riley couldn't. Remember the first time we had Riley in here, he's going, I'm really excited to have the job. But
people are still blaming me for the Grizzlies losing that game too, since I was out of town. That might have been the only Grizzly Bobcat football game, home game I've ever missed.
Wow. Well, you know what, Bill? You didn't miss much, let me tell you.
No.
We actually watched it on my computer for as long as we could before we had to head over to the gym.
And is the computer still in working condition?
You know, I considered tossing it. But, you know, I've been around so long, nothing surprises me in that game, really. So,
no.
I mean, you know.
No, you tell us how, you started broadcasting Grizzly games a long time ago. How did you get into that? Did you go to school for it? Or?
No. I went to journalism school at the university, and I took one radio TV course, and I flunked it. And there's an explanation behind that. That's very legit in my mind. But
so you've got 0 RTV credits. I've got 4.
Yeah, well,
so then it tells you
that makes you a board op. Then.
I think
I've seen that building.
I think I've had two credit courses. But great guy though. My instructor, my supervisor at the time, Greg McDonald.
Oh, well, I had Phil Hess.
Okay, all right.
Oh.
Yep,
the late Phil Hess.
Wow. Well, so how did it start? How'd you get into Grizzly Athletics?
Well, you know, I just I got into Grizzly Athletics as I was raised in it because my dad was one of the founders of the Century Club back in the 50s.
Kermit.
Grizzly Kermit.
I remember that.
Grizzly Kermit.
Yeah. So I mean, we were raised. I've sometimes told people that I was raised to hate Bobcats and Democrats, and over the years I've learned how to tolerate the Democrats.
I haven't learned that yet.
Yeah,
one of these days.
But I can't tolerate either party at this stage. So it was a good line a while back. But it's true. It's mostly true because my dad was, you know, not only a founder of the Booster Club, but also a major fundraiser for the local Republican Party. So there was some truth in that. So anyway, I used to play a board game when I was growing up. Major League Baseball, where you had little cards with players' names, and you spun it, and you could tell what kind of a hit they got, and I would announce those games.
Wow.
So that's kind of how it started. And then it was just kind of natural that when the time came to look into doing it for a living, that the Grizzlies would be the option, probably my only option. So I did SID work for 2 years, came in with Jack Swarthout. I mean, I was really blessed with some of the people I got to work with. Yeah. So Jack Swarthout came in as football coach and AD in my first year as SID, which was right out of college. And then I did kind of just to fill in the blanks, because I had the play-by-play thing in my mind even back then. I did some high school games, as Denny knows, Loyola and whatever else was out there at the time. And then I got hired as sports editor of the Missoulian. So I did that from 1969 to 71. But as soon as KYLT got the rights, I kind of begged and bugged and Gene Peterson, the owner back then, to let me have a shot at it, which he did. I mean, it was lucky because I didn't have anything but a little bit of high school experience. So,
well, and back then, 69, 70, 71, that's Camellia Bowl.
Oh yeah,
days.
Yeah.
That was the start of some really good stuff for the Grizzly football team.
Right. And so I went to that I covered that for the Missoulian, both games, and my wife got to go with me. That was quite a party back in the day. But
some interesting characters back there on those teams.
Yes, there were. And then of course they had that silly rule about junior college players. If they hadn't graduated from junior college, they weren't eligible to play in postseason.
I got to believe it. You always, you only kind of hear the one side of the story, but I guess I've been brought up to believe that rule, that JUCO rule, really took its toll on Montana much more so than North Dakota State.
Right. And North Dakota State wasn't recruiting a lot of junior college players back then. I'm not sure they do now. They just get drop-downs from 1A.
Yeah, right.
But so anyway, yeah, it was a blow. I mean, it took away guys like Carl Stein, who was an All-American safety and had a chance in the NFL, and our quarterback Ray Brom. I mean, it just took so many players out. And North Dakota State was really, really good anyway. Right. So, I mean, it was not a level playing field by any means. And it was really kind of sad because we never really got to know how well the Grizzlies would have done against them with a full roster. Yeah. So that was sad. But
strange rule.
Yeah, it was. And now the Camellia Bowl is played in Florida.
There still is a Camellia Bowl. Yes. I didn't even notice that, I don't think, till this year.
Although I heard that's going to go out of business. It's too bad about 10 more of them won't go out of business.
Yeah, right?
Stop having sub-500 teams.
Oh, yeah. 5 and 6 get you into a bowl game.
Yeah. Just ask Idaho.
Gurnz and I were ready to fill in for Minnesota if that one had fallen through this year. We were just we're gonna play 2-man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is Sports Talk Tonight with Gurnz and Bedard. In studio with us live, former play-by-play for the Montana Grizzly football, basketball team, you name it, Grizzly Bill Schwanke. And as always, he is brought to you by First Montana Bank. Your home for free Centennial checking plus unlimited cash back every time you use your debit card online at firstmontanabank.com. And Bill, you were talking that you came in with on the football side with Jack Swarthout, but on the basketball side,
Judd Heathcote.
Yeah, I mean,
like I say, I just ran into the very best right from the start. And Judd, it was 1971, his first year. He moved over. He was over at Washington State with Marv Harshman, who was the head coach, and then he brought Eric Hayes, came along with him. He had been at Washington State, and then Robin Selbig's first year on the varsity, because they didn't allow freshmen to play then, was my first year.
We had the Cubs, right?
The Cubs, the Montana Cubs, yeah. And so Robin played freshman ball the year before, and then his first year was my first year also. So
now the Cubs, was it? Could you only be a freshman, or was it a junior varsity?
I don't remember a lot of above freshmen playing on, because they actually recruited a freshman team to train them for the varsity. So I don't recall many drop downs from especially sophomore year playing.
All right.
The ironic thing is, when the field house was built in the mid-'50s, they brought in the Indiana Hoosiers. Branch McCracken was the head coach, and they brought them in for the first game. But the Cubs actually played the first game, and they had a freshman game before the big game with Indiana. I could never figure out what moron did that, So all the freshman guys are telling everybody we played the first game in the Adams, in the Adams Fieldhouse. So,
well, in basketball, then it was Heathcote, and then was it Montgomery?
Heathcote, Brandenburg, Montgomery, Morrill, Taylor. Holst, Kennedy. He kind of doesn't, don't count him.
He liked the elbow room a little bit. I just want to tell you that right now.
He didn't seem to like Missoula because he didn't spend a lot of time here, even when he was coaching. But
right.
And then Kristoviak, Tinkle.
DeCure.
Yeah.
So, And speaking of Travis DeCure, you had a nice little honor. Saturday night before the game.
Yeah. I couldn't even understand what you were reading, Denny. There was so much, I don't know what it was, but.
It was the crowd going crazy, Bill.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
A lot of love in the
Well, it was great. I had a standing ovation because they all were up for the national anthem. That was good timing. I didn't notice a lot of them sitting down.
There were so many glittering accolades. And in fact, I sent a note over to the marketing department saying, hey, do you have a copy of that? Because we got Bill on the show. There were so many glittering accolades, and I could only assume you wrote it, so you didn't need to hear it.
No, I didn't. I actually just got my copy from Bryn Malloy today because I had no idea what was in it. But it was, she picked out, the pretty salient points, I guess.
I know you've had special relationships with a lot of these coaches, but how did yours and Coach DeCure's evolve?
Well, DeCure was playing when I was doing games. Mm-hmm. So I met him first back then, and then I knew he had gone to Stanford with Montgomery, and then he was before that he was with Blaine Taylor at Old Dominion. So he's coached under some pretty amazing people as well, and then he was with Montgomery at Cal. And I'm sorry, I got that wrong. He was with Taylor at Old Dominion, then went to Cal with Montgomery. It was Taylor who had been at Stanford before he went to Old Dominion.
Oh, right, there it is.
Yeah, so I got my mixed up a little bit. So I knew Travis personally, and then, I knew I'd still been in touch with Montgomery, and I knew that Montgomery made a real hard push for him to get the Cal job. And from what I understand, the athletic director, who's a woman who's now at Penn State, and left right after that situation for whatever reason, She told Ken Haslam, I think, that if it had been up to her, they would have hired Travis at Cal, but she got orders from higher up to do something different.
They had to have somebody with head coaching experience or something like that.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's our gain, and it's just a matter of waiting to see how long we can keep Travis here.
Yeah, and how about that? Was interesting how that all played out because Tinkle left and went to Oregon State, and you were kind of going, what the heck are we going to do?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Travis caught a raw deal down there in Berkeley, and we got him.
Well, my sense was, and I don't mean this in a sneaky way, because I think the world of Kent Haslam, but
what did I
the
guy behind me did it. He pulled my plug.
All right, the quicksand chair.
He does that.
Well, stand up and we'll get you another one. But
I know I'm overweight.
Not in a sneaky way, because I think the world of Kent Haslam, but I gotta believe that Kent kind of had a short list in mind to begin with, and
was Travis on that? Do you think?
Yeah, I think
he was too.
I think Kent summarized it by saying, "Hey, we got our guy."
Oh yeah, and it was one of those deals probably where Kent was like, "Yeah, this is who I want if I have that opportunity," but probably didn't think he was going to get it.
Well, yeah,
and
one of the amazing things that goes by a lot of people is that 2 of the 3 finalists at Oregon State were Tinkle, DeCure, and I don't know who else. So
right.
So 2 Montana guys, former Montana guys, were in line for a Pac-12 job at the same time. So that was interesting.
It's very awesome how the basketball coaching tree, starting with Heathcote, who went to Michigan State,
right?
Just how well they've done. At big-time institutions.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of lineage.
Hey, well, before we take our first break, we're going to get to trivia, and then we're going to get back to Schwanke and talk about, the golden years. Not the golden years, the glory years. How about that? Yeah. And the golden years. What the heck?
Well, the golden years is a false. Now that I'm getting older, I don't know who coined that phrase, but unless you're absolutely rich and in perfect health, it's pretty much a
trivia is golden and glorious.
Oh, it is. Denny, what do you got?
All right. Well, if you know the answer to our trivia, 721-1290 is the number to call. If you don't know the answer, 721-1290 is the number. I'll probably give you 3 tries, but we are brought to you by Fuddruckers and Happy Days Car Wash. World's greatest hamburgers at Fuddruckers. Whatever you order off that menu, you get to top it yourself to make it absolutely perfect. They've also got a tremendous assortment of local microbrews on tap. But we're talking beef, buffalo, elk, Kobe beef, you name it. And they've got a Sweetheart Special coming up, the 10th through the 14th, Friday through Tuesday. You can get 2 half-pound World's Greatest Original Burgers, 2 orders of fries, and 2 milkshakes, all for $20. I'm taking my Valentine Scott Guernsey there some night in the next week. Yeah, $20 for that. That's an incredible deal. That's going on Friday through Tuesday at Fuddruckers on North Reserve. From Brent and the crew at Happy Days Car Wash, we have a gift card for The Works Car Wash from Happy Days. They're on Brooks between Pizza Hut and the Fairbridge Inn, voted Missoula's favorite. Latest Missoulian Readers Poll once again. 721-1290 if you know trivia. And as you've heard so far in the show, great member of Grizz Nation, former broadcast voice of the team, Bill Schwanke, our guest tonight. Bill's accomplishments include play-by-play for the Grizz from 71 to 93. We will need a longtime Grizz follower for this one.
Somebody as old as my wife and I.
In 1971, who did Bill replace in the broadcast booth? Was that, what do you come up here? The other choices I managed to come up with for them.
Okay.
Was that A, Bob Rosenthal, B, Ray Nicolai, or C, Milt Schwenk? In 1971, who did Bill replace in the broadcast booth? Was it A, Bob Rosenthal, B, Ray Nicolai, C, Milt Schwenk? Gurnz, I want to give away prizes. I need somebody at 721-1290 right now.
Well, since I was born towards the end of 1971, yes, I'm going to have to just not even suffice a guess.
All right.
But somebody will, and we will have a winner when we come back right after this on Sports Talk Tonight.
At the Peak Health and Wellness Center, we inspire limitless potential. With 3 premier fitness locations in Missoula and dedicated staff ready to help you achieve and maintain your health and wellness goals. Our Blue Mountain facility includes over 50,000 square feet with an aquatic center and basketball court. Our 51,000 square foot racquetball club with 5 indoor courts, and our 21,000 square foot downtown location, including our mind and body studio. The Peak Health and Wellness Center, Missoula's choice and best of Missoula winner.
At Bell McCall Ford in Hamilton, they take the guesswork out of buying a car or truck. Now's a great time to take advantage of closeout pricing on new 2016 Ford F-150s. With savings of over $11,000 with factory discounts, Ford credit, and owner loyalty rebates. Save up to $10,000 on 2016 F-350 Super Duties. Take advantage of big savings on remaining 2016s in stock and check out the new 2017 Explorers and Escapes. Bell McCall Ford, downtown Hamilton.
It's Laguna Month at Montana Tool. Montana Tool is Western Montana's exclusive dealer for Laguna lathes, table saws, and bandsaws. Beginners to experts trust the tool guys at Montana Tool for the best brands in the business, and that includes a full line of Laguna, plus the professional advice and service you get at a tool store, not a tool department. Save 10% on Montana Tool's entire Laguna line in February, and be ready for upcoming spring projects. Montana Tool, 1908 North Avenue West in Missoula.
For plumbing and heating services, drain cleaning, installation of garbage disposals, faucets, sinks, bathtubs, showers, and toilets, boiler repair, and more, the easiest way to get it done is with a call to Thomas Plumbing. 24 hours a day if necessary, commercial or residential, no job's too small, and Thomas Plumbing stands behind their work. 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Quality service, reasonable rates. That's Thomas Plumbing. Call or stop by 2327 South Avenue West in Missoula, or find out more at thomasplumbingmt.com.
Now back to Missoula's Sports Talk Tonight on KGVO.
Missoula Sports.
Every second of every day.
We are back. Sports Talk Tonight, brought to you in part by the Orange Street Food Farm, locally owned and operated grocery store featuring the freshest fruits and vegetables, fresh meats, and a great beer and wine selection. And by Grizzly Liquor, located downtown next to the Iron Horse. Big Sky, big selection, and online at grizzlyliquor.com. Denny, do we have ourselves a winner?
And it only took him one try. That is impressive. It's Steve Barnes in Hamilton. How are you tonight, Steve?
It's another wonderful night. I woke up breathing this morning.
Didn't see dirt above me, and so I was okay. Are you a fair semi once in a while listener to the Sports Talk Tonight, or how'd you find us?
I listen to 98.3 semi-religiously during the week. And you guys just happened to be on when I got out of class.
Yeah, we just tripped and fell. There we were. Well, you'll hear more from a great member of Grizz Nation, former broadcast voice Bill Schwanke, our guest tonight. Accomplishments include play-by-play for the Grizz from 71 to 93. In 1971, who did Bill replace in the broadcast booth? Was that A, Bob Rosenthal, B, Ray Nicolai, or C, Milt Schwank? What do you think there, Steve Barnes?
It was Milt Schwank.
And, so we got Schwank and Schwank here. That's I'm sure that was confusing back in the day, but he also had some coaching background, Bill.
Well, don't forget Wally Schwank, who was the athletic director back prior to that time, too. So everybody was confused.
Kind of a touch of nepotism there, maybe.
Almost.
No, we covered it up by changing the name slightly. But anyway, Milt Schwank was assistant football coach. He was a great big guy, offensive line coach, offensive line coach. And he was also the head baseball coach for the Grizzlies when they still had a baseball team. And then he was on Hugh Davidson's staff, and Hugh Davidson's staff got fired to bring in Jack Swarthout and his crew, including Jack Elway and those guys. Okay. Dennis Erickson's dad was on that staff. So anyway, he slid into the radio gig at KGVO.
After being dismissed from the football
staff.
Wow.
Yeah. And he did that. So when I started out as sports information director, Milt was doing the radio, and I actually worked with him because on road games, I helped keep stats and stuff for him. I can't remember if he let me on the air or not. Probably didn't. But anyway.
And that ended, his partnership there ended because, why?
Because the rights changed.
Okay.
They went from KGVO to...
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's how that ended up.
And you went, this is my job now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Milt. Hit the road.
There.
So he moved to Yakima.
Okay.
And worked for Washington Power or something.
That's how you do a factoid.
Boy, I tell you what.
Great stuff. Good job, Steve. We really do appreciate you listening. And I've got your mailing address, so we'll get your Fuddruckers gift card and your Happy Days gift card mailed to you, all right?
Sweet. I look forward to it.
Thank you so much.
You have a great day.
All right, Steve Barnes, our latest winner, Gurnz.
Wow, cool deal. Another Bitterrooter.
If I may interrupt you, if anybody has a question, a comment, a memory to share with Bill, we'd love to hear from you at 721-1290.
Nothing that starts with, remember that time, Bill, that I'm not answering any of those.
I was kind of going that direction. But
it's one of your fraternity brothers, Bill.
I've got a pretty good Milt Schwank story I could tell, but...
Swarthout started, and then it was Donovan, and then Coach Reed, and lots of coaches over years and players.
Gene Carlson before Donovan.
Gene Carlson, that's right. And there's this chubby kind of kid from Tumwater, Washington, that came over in 1990.
Heck of a punter.
And what? No, how it had to have been pretty cool. You got Swarthout, which the Camellia Bowls were great times for Grizzly football. And then the Carlson and the Donovan era, kind of on the downside.
Dornblazer.
But then a guy from Portland State comes named Coach Reed.
One of those horrible Division II coaches.
Exactly.
About.
You've got a new stadium being built.
Right.
What was it like back then in 86, 87 when things kind of just got exciting?
Well, the first thing that happened, of course, Donovan was let go, and I remember I was right in the middle of that because his last game was at NAU. Gene Leonard was doing color for me at that time, and we were in the car driving from Flagstaff to Phoenix, listening to a couple of coaches in the back seat actually talking about whether they would still have jobs. And they beat Northern Arizona that night.
I remember that.
And they did it by running the ball.
But that was what, the third win of the year?
Oh, yeah, maybe. And so, but they were working it was kind of sad in a way because they were friends and Donovan had some great coaches on his staff, as proven by what they did later. But they were trying to convince themselves and us and everybody that they were. And I remember looking over at Gene, and he was kind of rolling his eyes, which was not good because he was driving. But anyway, and then Dennis Murphy and I actually flew from Phoenix to Lubbock, Texas, because there was a basketball game. A Grizzly basketball game in Lubbock, Texas, I think on the following Monday.
Uh-huh.
And then Donovan strangely missed the plane back to Missoula because I think Harley Lewis had already said he wanted to meet with him when he got back. So I don't know if that was, intentional or not. But anyway, so I was in Lubbock when the official word came that he'd been fired. So I actually taped a phone interview with Harley from the hotel in Lubbock, and also one with Donovan that I managed to get with him. So I had those on during the basketball game. And so it was an interesting time. But I remember getting a call from my sister out in Seattle who said, how in the world can you hire a coach with a sub 500 record to be the new head coach? Because Don Reed's record was under 500. And, he'd been at Portland State 2 different times. He went to University of Oregon, and they just weren't patient enough because he was improving their record the 3 years he was there. But they wanted it now, so they ran him out, and that was probably the biggest mistake they could have made, but it was our benefit. And I think Harley knew Don because Harley had Portland connections as well. And and then he brought in the quick passing game and all of that stuff, and it just kind of took off. And the stadium helped. I mean, there are people, and Larry Donovan's still a friend of mine. I haven't talked to him for a while now, but I have talked to him in the last few years, and he's still pretty bitter about that whole thing because he had something to do with the stadium getting built. I mean,
I've heard that.
And that's fine. Harley had something to do with it. Larry put the pressure on Denny Washington, which was good, but had Neil Bucklew, the president, not decided to back it, would have never happened either. So Bucklew's probably the one that deserves the most credit because he stuck his neck out a little bit on that deal too. But that was the turning point. And then, and Don's record with first year was 6-5
right.
And,
he was.
but he beat the Bobcats.
Didn't
beat the Bobcats, and then he beat the Bobcats again.
Yeah, quite a few years there.
Yeah.
About so that was about halfway through the Reed transition. As a recruit, what was the big appeal to you? I know that you were kind of counting on Colorado and that fell through, but was it the stadium? Was it the coaching? Was it the offensive philosophy? But what was the shiniest object for you?
Well, it was the play-by-play guy.
God.
Grizzly Bill Schwanke.
This guy, Don Gurnz says, I heard this guy can make anybody look good.
Are you taking some Wednesdays off and we need to fill in and you're working him? Or?
When I was going to boom those big punts, I could think of nothing better than Bill Schwanke. Holy cow, or whatever. I mean,
look at the arc on that ball.
Yeah.
He must have meant to shake it out of bounds like that. You know what? And it was funny because I have every single recruiting letter that I ever received.
Oh, nice.
I made a map of the United States in pencil, and I would put a dot at where every college was, and I think I got like 50 different schools. But it was, and the best one was UCLA because you opened it up and it had the gold helmet on the deal, and most of them were just, hey, fill out this questionnaire, and you never heard from them again.
Yeah.
Right.
And I thought I was going to Colorado or Oregon State or Hawaii, and it was funny, I had 3 trips set up. They canceled them all within 2 days. It was always, we're signing 2 wide receivers, and you were the 3rd guy on the, I could have been the 10th guy, who knows. But that was the year that Montana went to Georgia Southern. Mm-hmm. And so they were the last school to send me anything. And I had a trip set up to Eastern Washington. Jim McElwain, the head coach at Florida now, was the recruit me at Eastern, and they were like, well, come stay in the dorms. And I was like, I want a steak dinner.
Did he tell you you didn't even need a GPA to go to Eastern?
Hey, by the way, I pissed Dick Zorns off big time.
Oh, God.
He waited in our school office for like 3 hours. I mean, those fingers were all clawed up looking to wrap around my neck. Anyways, and then
I never liked him anyway.
Who is the guy? Dan Cazzetto, who is now the head coach at Phoenix College, where Pflugrad is.
Oh, my.
He was the one who recruited me from the University of Idaho.
Okay.
When John L. Smith was there.
Right. Wow.
And I took a trip there, and I took a trip here, and Jerome Sowers was my guy that recruited me, and he said I was the most pain-in-the-butt recruit he'd ever had because I didn't want to tell him yes or no. But anyways, I don't know. Mike Trevathan and Matt Clark and Craig Whitney took me out on my recruiting trip. I remember puking in the back of the Mo Club. I didn't drink in high school. Did not drink. And I got
Do you believe that, Denny?
So sick. I mean, so sick.
That we recruited him? Or
No, that he didn't drink in high school.
Okay.
But I don't know if it was just the family type atmosphere. I don't remember thinking the stadium was cool or the facilities were cool because they weren't.
It was still fairly humble, and it had humble beginnings.
It was probably, I remember Coach Sowers and Coach Reed coming to my living room, and my mom was, she had made cookies, and and they had to sit through the highlight tape, and Coach Reed had a cold, and I think it was probably the biggest influence on my decision was probably Coach Sowers.
Yeah,
to be honest with you,
sure.
But I barely knew. I didn't even know Montana was as close to the state of Washington as it was. I mean, I'd never flown before. It was my first. That was my first trip. Then it was Idaho, but yeah, first plane trip ever. 17 years old. I don't know. I tell you what, we make decisions, and sometimes we do them for weird reasons.
You made a good one.
Turned out pretty good for you, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, my punts sounded way better with you talking about them. So, anyways, enough about me. We're going to take a quick break.
I got tired of talking about touchdown passes all the time. Punts were just kind of a relief.
Yeah, got to have punts.
We never hardly ever punted. That was the problem.
Actually, in 1992, I set the record for most punts in a season, which is the only record I still hold. So,
wow.
That was 6 and 5. Anyways, hey, when we come back, we'll talk about Super Bowl a little bit.
Sure.
And all things Grizzly with Grizzly Bill Schwanke when we come back after this on Sports Talk Tonight. We are back. And a very interesting Sports Talk Tonight with Gurnz and Bedard. We are brought to you in part by Bell McCall Ford. A great selection of new and used cars, trucks, and SUVs. Great deals on 2016 F-150s. Your locally owned, low-cost auto dealer for over 100 years in downtown Hamilton. And by Granite Pharmacy, locally owned and operated pharmacy on South Avenue between Shopko and Big Sky High School. Find them at granitepharmacy.com. Hey, speaking of 2016 F-150s, mine is awesome.
Yeah.
First truck I will never not, which makes a positive, right? Double negative.
Yeah, I think it
will
does.
never not buy a truck ever again.
Okay.
Ever again.
All right.
Don't know how I lived
So
with that
this
one.
was your first truck?
First truck.
Really?
Yeah.
And how long have you lived in? I've even had a
Since
truck.
27. Whoa.
I haven't had a truck for a long time, but I did have a truck.
I will never not ever ask you how your truck is.
27 years. Well, I
You'll
worked
eat
for
up half hour of the show.
Coca-Cola, and I had company vehicles.
Yeah.
And
okay,
so
there you go.
So
and it wasn't a truck that they
No.
gave you? Okay.
You know what? I take that back.
I bet you drove.
I have had an F-150, and it was a piece of junk maroon one. I mean, they were just kind of passing vehicles around it. I have had. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel so bad. I'm a liar.
But you didn't own it.
No, I didn't own it.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
No, and I didn't drive it like I owned it either. Yeah. But no, F-150s are great. Sorry, I digress.
That's quite all right.
Right, Danny, let me collect my thoughts.
As far as the Super Bowl goes, I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
Oh, well, I do. What an amazing game, though.
Yeah.
I didn't like the outcome.
No.
I mean, I
because
didn't.
it shouldn't have happened. They just did some dumb things.
Yeah, well, once that momentum turns and you just quit doing what you were doing that worked earlier.
And so momentum is already turning. You hit one of the greatest receivers in the league right now. He makes a phenomenal catch, tippy toes on the sidelines. Yeah. Now you've got the ball on the New England 25, 26
or something, maybe the 22.
You know, just here.
Kick a field goal.
Here, great big large fullback. Just run straight ahead. If we don't get any yards, don't worry about it. We're going to eat clock and make them use their timeouts. Worst case scenario, we miss a field goal from the 31, and they got to go from the 31 with very little time left.
But even then, if you make the field goal, you've got to
make the field goal. It's over, and you got a great.
The other thing
that one just
so
blew
they
me
should
away.
have they should have run the ball 2 more times and kicked the field goal.
Mm-hmm.
So they get a penalty and then they get a sack, and they're out of field goal range. Then the play where he fumbled on the hit, the
running back
missed his block, but it was dumb. But again, Guernsey, it was a dumb call,
and it was coming. And I can't believe that Matt Ryan should have checked out of it, and it's not even coming from his blind side.
Yeah,
I mean,
but he didn't have much time to check out.
He didn't. Yeah. He didn't.
But if he had been under center, and they had run the ball and then punted it out of there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the other thing they didn't do when they were ahead 28-3, that's the time that you stop running the play clock down to 0.
Oh, yeah.
To burn clock. You start burning clock then.
Yeah.
Because it's going to catch up with them later. I mean, they just had so many opportunities, but that's the luck of the Patriots. I mean, the
Edelman catch that should have been picked off.
Yeah.
Number one, and then it bounces, and I'm thinking it's going to hit a leg, and he didn't catch that. And you watch, and it's like, might have been there's been some great.
Oh, I thought it was clear. Yeah,
Well, and they had a near interception in the end zone, too.
Yep,
Yeah.
the Jerome Curse catch.
Yeah.
3 years ago when the Seahawks and the Patriots,
Yeah.
and then with the David Tyree,
Yeah.
the Giants catch, and then this one.
Yeah, it was.
Unbelievable. Lynn Swan catch, of course, was
And
great.
I heard today on actually on ESPN, I think, that they had that NFL Films had mic'd Edelman for the game, so they had
I didn't know
his
that.
voice saying, "I got it."
Wow.
Yeah,
And
so-
he's annoying too.
but he's a liar anyway. So
yeah. Anyway.
Well,
I mean, I don't have anything particular against the Patriots. I'm just tired of them.
Yeah.
And Atlanta hasn't. I like Matt Ryan. I like Dan Quinn. And, it's just a shame, but.
You like to see it spread around a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And now they're without the guys responsible for those gaps. Their offensive coordinator gone, and I think they dismissed a couple of defensive coaching personnel today. Did they
the
not?
defensive coordinator and the defensive line coach were let go.
Yeah.
And I heard the quarterback coach is going somewhere else on his own. So they're going to be, but those kind of decisions don't happen in a panic after a Super Bowl. They shouldn't anyway.
No,
I think
you're
he
right.
had
No,
that.
I suppose
He had
not.
that on his mind before that even happened,
It's
I think.
just kind of one of those
It looks
coincidence
funny,
I
but,
wonder
yeah.
deals. Yeah, exactly.
But
So many games over the years, Bill, and I know this is one of those put you on the spot questions that you probably got asked as many times as games you've called, but any particular calls that jump out at you, basketball or football, or just super fond memories that you'll always remember calling?
Well, I think the UCLA basketball game in '75 obviously was a big deal, but the game before that when the Grizzlies played Utah State in Pullman in the regionals, and of course the tournament was, I think the national tournament was like 16 teams back then, and so we played Pullman, and Eric Hayes had a 30-plus game in that game as well, and then we went and played UCLA and lost by 3 to the eventual national champions in a game that the Grizzlies had. I mean, Ken McKenzie, who was an outstanding center, he I don't know how many in and out hook shots he had in that game. I mean, he had just 2 more of them dropped. I mean, there were so many things that made it so close, And the interesting thing was I had asked the person on the board back here to record the game for me because it's a big deal to play John Wooden and UCLA and all that stuff. So he forgot. So for years, I had no recording of the game. And then you remember Muntz Watkins, his brother Gwynn, who was
93 stop and go.
Yeah, 93 stop and go. He used to record every game on these huge reel-to-reel tapes. And he got word that I was looking for it, and he had it. So I do have a copy of it now.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So my kids will probably throw it away as soon as I'm gone. But that's all right.
How about on the football side?
Football side, pretty much any win over the Bobcats was a good deal. We rarely beat Boise State in Boise. So there was a game, in fact, it was during Gene Carlson's term, and his son Bruce was playing. And they beat Boise State in Boise. That was a big deal. It came up during the basketball season this year when we played Pepperdine. There was a triple overtime game in Malibu, which, believe me, was a tough place to have to go to do it. I don't know how anybody can even go to class in a place
kind of like the Virgin Islands.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But anyway, so it was back when Delvon Anderson was playing, Roger Fasting, those guys, and we won the game in triple overtime. It was the first time they'd lost at home, and in that game, my broadcast booth was a seat in the bleachers at one end of the court up high, and I had things in my lap and everything. But it was just an incredible game because 2 or 3, maybe 4 of the Grizzly players fouled out at some point in time during the game, and they had like Delvon Anderson was playing center, and it was just ridiculous. But they hung in there, and they had, what was the guy's name? Doug Christie. Was playing for Pepperdine, and he ended up being a pro for several years. He was one of the players in that game. So that basketball wise was probably, along with the UCLA game, as good as any. I remember being at Bozeman and Scott Zanon was playing, and a Bobcat fan who, amazingly enough, was drunk, threw a can of Sprite, a full can of Sprite out on the field or on the court, and almost hit Zanon.
This sounds familiar.
Yeah, and so Zanon made 2. got technical shots, and he made both of them, and the Grizzlies ended up winning the game by 1 point.
Oh.
And then the next time the Bobcats came to Missoula, some student came to the game dressed entirely in squirt cans. He had made
Sprite cans?
Yeah. So
Well, you remember that? Whoops! I just said what you didn't want me to say. You remember that? The the Idaho game, the
I thought
potato game.
that meant don't say. Remember that night we went out and
The potato game.
when they rolled the potato.
Oh, I remember that
They
one.
did that more than once.
Yeah.
But that was kind of fun. The other one that was entertaining was, and I think maybe we won the game that night when Mike Montgomery was coaching. We played at Idaho in the Kibbe Dome not too long after it had been built. And it was raining cats and dogs. So we go into the arena. It's raining cats and dogs outside. And during practice, they'd noticed that there was a leak at one corner of the court. So Montgomery borrows an umbrella from somebody at the hotel, and he walks out on the court before the game with an umbrella, and he's doing this with his hand and stuff. And they hated him there anyway, and they just booed and booed and booed.
Making fun of the new digs.
Yeah, Derek Pope, he broke a backboard over there one year. Grizzlies beat him really badly that year. And that's the other thing that I remember as much as anything, just all the people. Not only the coaches, but just a lot of the players and stuff that were, that I still see every once in a while. And, so that's that. A lot of it is the people you deal with that makes it enjoyable too, because I didn't have the other story about Judd too, that was, we would do a pregame show, and we always, in Judd's case, and with a lot of the coaches, you do it at the hotel on game morning or something before they go over for shoot around. I know with Travis in the Virgin Islands, we did it at the gym when they were having practice one day. But Heathcote had this. I would sit on a chair, and he would sit on the end of the bed, and he had this habit of leaning forward into the microphone, like he felt like he had to be right on the top of the microphone. And I had this temptation to kind of slowly pull it away from him until he toppled over on his face. But he would have killed. I was scared to death of the man for a while until I got to know him a little better, because he was a gruff human being, but heck of a basketball coach. And I remember Eric Hayes' playing days, and there are just so many great players over the years, and the coaches. The event they had last year when Travis brought all those coaches back and had that event out to Ranch Club and stuff. That was as special as anything could ever be. And Stu Morrill showed up for Robin Selvig's thing a couple of weeks ago, and they're all still really good friends. And all those coaches from Judd Heathcote on were in contact with each other about their Montana days, and they had a history together, and it's pretty remarkable for a school like Montana to have that kind of a tree, and then have them all like each other and care about what each other's doing too. So it's just incredible.
I was going to say, we've been so fortunate, and you've named all the coaches from Heathcote to Morrill to Blaine Taylor, and even look at Donovan's squad. You've got Joe Glenn was on there, and then
Mike Van Diest.
Joe.
Ken Flagel ended up coaching several years. He went to Missouri as an assistant coach, and then he ended up coaching in the NFL for a number of years. He might still be there. I don't know.
And look at Don Reed's coaching tree that started with him. The head coaches and the assistant coaches and and all that. It's just been truly. We've been blessed to have
really.
who we've had.
And people don't. I don't know if a lot of people realize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take one more break. We come back. We're going to have more with Grizzly Bill Schwanke, some stupid, some steel, and some more snow outside Denny on the way home when we come back on Sports Talk Tonight.
Now back to Missoula's Sports Talk Tonight on KGVO.
Missoula Sports.
Every second of every day.
We're back. Sports Talk Tonight. Gurnz and Bedard, brought to you in part by Jerry Wessels Tire Center. The locally owned Les Schwab Tire Center provides the best tire value promise. Visit them online at jerrywesselstirecenter.com. And by CHS Mountain West Co-op, Western Montana source for Cynics fuel, feed, fertilizer, clothing, and tack for over 75 years. Big shout out to Access Fitness. Never any initiation fees or contracts. I promise I will be back next week the veins are sealed. I'm going to be ready to go, Denny.
All right.
I just wonder if the mouth is sealed.
Well, my lips are sealed with chapstick.
Yeah.
They're not even a sponsor.
Sounds like we're talking in code. The veins are sealed. Okay.
Oh, boy, I tell you.
And the arteries are covered. I don't know what that means.
Denny, or Bill, you've got some notes there on the paper. Did you have anything you wanted to...
Well, I didn't know if you were going to ask me about, like my record against the Bobcats.
Oh, I want to know.
Stuff. Yeah, okay. So in football, it was close. It was 13-12, thanks to Don Reed and his run. Mm-hmm. And then basketball, 33-17.
Ooh.
And they just tied the series, didn't they? On
they
Saturday?
did, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like 149.
It's a huge lead in the basketball.
It's amazing, like 149 to 149.
I'm glad you were there to start that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Bridge the gap.
13 in a row.
Yeah.
Which is,
yeah. And then, I just did football. My record was 151 wins, 127 losses in Grizz football. That was the team's record during the time. And then the basketball was 418, 227. There was one tie in football.
That 151, 127, that'll get you paid a lot more money than Jeff Fisher ever got.
Yeah.
No kidding. He would have been maybe 127.
But you got to have a punter.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, before I did the Grizzlies, I did Loyola. Did a couple of 12-game tournaments during those years. And so, in counting high school games, and this is a little bit rougher because I'm not sure I have a totally accurate count. It was kind of guesswork from the time before I started doing the Grizz. I ended up doing a little over 1,100 games.
Oh, my God.
Between college and high school.
Wow.
And I broadcast in 6 different decades.
Wow.
Which I didn't even realize.
Like 5.
Yeah, late 60s, high school, and then, the games I did in the Virgin Islands and then high school games that I did starting in 2010. So, yeah. So wow. I've had a lot of fun.
That is beautiful.
Well, to do it that long and that many games, number one, you have to love it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Number two, you have to know what the heck you're talking about.
Well, you can fake that sometimes.
You know what? I tell you,
he must listen to Sports Talk tonight.
There were times, the color guy for the Grizz, and there were times when, the guy I worked with was in the bathroom and couldn't get back in time to do the.
You reminded me of one too.
To do the game, and I tried to do play-by-play, and
it's impossible.
No way.
Everybody asked me, "You're going to do play-by-play?" I said, "I don't do. I would not know how to do it.
No.
I wouldn't have a clue.
Quick enough.
And each sport has its own characteristics, but I will say we're pretty. He's a semi-regular. We call him part of the house band. We're getting a big kick out of young Riley Corcoran. Our
I like Riley. He's good. Yeah, he and I got together pretty early after he got here, and so Kent wanted me to fill him in kind of on the history. And yeah, he's a great young man. He's going to do fine. And it reminds
There's a bathroom story.
There is a bathroom story. So Georgia Southern, first time we went back there for the playoffs, and it was cold. It was in December, and it was snowing there when we got to Statesboro, and didn't make it look any better. But and they were the nastiest people ever.
That's what I've heard.
I could care less if they ever win another game since then. But anyway, so Joe Yeager's doing color, and the stadium had one restroom in the press box, one. And so it's cold, and you know what cold does to, So anyway, it got to be halftime, and I had to go. So I said to Joe, I said, I want you to go through the stats. And then when you're done, anyway, I told him just to go through the stats. And it took me longer than I thought it was going to take. So by the time I get back, the Grizzlies had onside kicked, recovered the ball, and Joe is still reading stats. He had no idea. Joe, I'm sorry, I just couldn't but he was dead set on reading those stats, And so that was kind of entertaining. And I'm looking at him. I said, "What? How did we end up with the ball?" He had no idea.
Oh, I did.
Wow.
Yeah. We rushed for 150 yards in the first half. That's all I know.
Yeah. So.
Oh well, Denny, we better get to.
The steal of the week.
Yep.
Brought to you by True North Steel, Western Montana's industry leader in quality manufactured and fabricated steel products.
Well, this is an easy one. A game for the ages. The Super Bowl 51 this last weekend, Denny, that was won by the Patriots 34 over the Falcons 28. Patriots down 21-3 at halftime. Falcons score again, 28-3 in the third. You're thinking this game is in hand, and a lot of things have to happen. A field goal, a TD, a 2-point conversion, another TD, a 2-point conversion. You're going, it's just not going to happen. And what do you know? Field goal, TD, 2-point conversion, TD, 2-point conversion. Tie it up with 57 seconds left on a James White 1-yard run, and then is sealed. The deal is sealed in overtime on a 2-yard run by James White, and the Patriots get my steal of the week.
Did you save our predictions from last week? You'll notice that I had 34-28. Unfortunately, I had the teams inverted on there. But
you did have 34.
I had the right score. I just had the wrong team. I don't know if Wednesday, I get anything for that.
I'm going to bring you a coffee.
Steal of the week is
because you like coffee.
Brought to you by, I do, yes. Brought to you by True North Steel, Western Montana's industry leader in quality, manufactured, and fabricated steel products.
All right, stupid athlete of the week. It's not stupid. It's stupid institution and stupid coach. It has been alleged at Baylor University.
I read that today. Good
52 rapes over 4 years. Most of it covered up and brushed under the rug by administration, coaches, whatever.
Wow, 52. That is a lot of a legend.
Head coach Art Briles, and some recently unearthed texts shows that he knew of various other crimes. Also alleged, hacking the accounts, but I'm assuming that it's Art Briles. This has been going on for 3 or 4 years, just a cloud over Baylor University. And boy, wouldn't you know it, the strength coach at Baylor, Brandon Washington, gets arrested this last weekend in a prostitution sting. Now, I mean...
He just got there.
And he just got there.
He came with the guy from Temple who took the head coaching job and apparently hadn't done anything at Temple that they knew of.
And it's just what... Not only is that bad in general...
But on top of piling on, I think is what they call it.
Piling. And I love second-time offenders as far as stupid athletes of the week, and Baylor's definitely on that list. So, Baylor University, stupid athlete,
Isn't it
stupid
a church school?
It's Davidian Branch, maybe, in Waco. Anyways, that's
good one, Gurnz.
Hey,
Why can't I bring out this freshness and crispness? It takes Schwanke to bring out the...
Because my circulation's better.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, after your vein surgery at Bellama.
And my chair's not sinking out from under me.
Oh, that's
so everything's
right, yeah.
good.
Hey, what a great experience. I tell you what, doing that wasn't too painful, more kind of just...
In case you missed it last week, Scott
cosmetic. It was just cosmetic.
I had some veins hermetically sealed. No, I had them cauterized. Ooh. They're not varicose veins. I just have some bad blood flow. Anyways, they got great cookies out front that you get a snack on when you get there, and you really do. And they were so awesome.
This tells me Kelsey's not listening.
Great. Oh, that's right. Hey,
is he supposed
to be on my diet?
There you go.
My Minnesota Vikings sister.
Yeah, but when you're injured, getting off the diet's okay.
That's right.
That's right.
But but Dr. Bellama and the whole staff over there, what great people, and they do a really great job, and you're in good hands over there. So I thank them. And also like to thank Grizzly Bill Schwanke for coming in.
What a treat.
We talk about coaches and how honored we are and how fortunate and how lucky. And really, I think the entire Grizz Nation and the University of Montana was very fortunate that you came onto the scene in 1971 and kind of got the ball rolling.
I was the fortunate one.
Well, goes both ways.
Did we scare the heck out of you, or will you come back in the near future?
Sure, I can come back.
Love to have you back. Lots more memories to share.
That's right.
In fact, it's too bad the show's almost over because I could listen to this forever.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, hey, I learned from the best, so. And he's sitting right here to the right. And Denny, you're pretty good too.
And Denny was wonderful to work with.
We did work together. We'll talk about that the next time.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll talk about the old configuration of the Adams Center and where we had to sit in the booth and all that.
Radio and punting, it goes hand in hand.
You bet it does, yeah.
Well, hey, we'll see you next week. Denny, let's get rid of some of the snow. Sports Talk tonight. Gurnz and Bedard, out of here.